tomb of Nakht and his wife Tawi. It was possibly built during the reign of Thutmose IV, 3,417 years ago. It's located in the lower enclosure on the north slope of Sheikh Abdel Qurna in modern-day Luxor, Egypt, North Africa. The visitors to the tomb was Champion during his visit to Egypt for reading hieroglyphs, followed by the Scottish Egyptologist Hay and Carl Richard Lepsius in 1842. And it was Lepsius's work, really. He was leading an expedition to Egypt and Sudan. Their purpose was to explore and record the remains of the ancient Egyptian civilization. During this expedition, they produced lots of maps and plans and drawings, and he gave it the classification TT52, Theban Tomb 52. That's where the numbers come from, Carl Richard Lepsius. The tomb is described as T-shaped, as you can clearly see. It's got a traverse chamber, which may have been used by the family as a type of open chapel without front door. And then that entrance into the inner chamber could possibly have been bricked up, plastered and painted to stop access. The inner chamber contains the access to the vertical shaft, which leads down to the subterranean chamber where the coffins of Nakht and his wife would have been placed. Once the coffins have been placed down there, you can only suppose that some sort of boarding was put over the shaft, or maybe it was left open as a deterrent to any possible tomb robbers. In the niche, there was originally a statue of Nakht holding a stele, and inscribed on the stele was a prayer to the sun god Ra. Norman and Nina de Garis Davis in 1914 cleared the inner chamber of the tomb and the vertical shaft. During the process of removing the debris, they found the statue of Nakht, and we can only suppose or guess that when the tomb was being robbed, they threw down the statue of Nakht because they couldn't sell it, they couldn't recycle it in any way, and they were fearful that unless they destroyed the images of the deceased, they would haunt them. So that was maybe a possible reason as to why that statue found its way into the shaft. Now, Norman and Nina de Garis Davis worked for the Metropolitan Museum of Art at that time, and they had the statue transported back to Britain as a stopping point to go on to America, and it was placed on the SS Arabic in 1915, and unfortunately the ship was torpedoed off the coast of Ireland and it sunk in the Irish Sea by the German submarine SMU-24. So it's somewhere in the Irish Sea at the moment. What a shame. See, this is what happens when you have wars. You lose valuable objects. So don't have any wars. Now, if we have a look at the tomb plan, this simple tomb plan, it's got numbers on it. So let's start at number 1. This picture is the purification ritual by Nakht to the sun god Ra. The bearers are bringing ointment to Nakht. Tawi pours the ointment in recognition of Ra. You can see scenes of wine production and offering bearers bringing the harvest. At number 5 in the tomb, you have 4 priests bringing offerings before the couple at the Festival of the Valley, which we know as the Feast of the Valley in July. You know, that wonderful festival where Amun-Ra would leave Karnak, cross the valley onto the West Bank to see the ancestors. That's when I think the family would have visited the tomb to see the pictures and to remember their parents and their ancestors. At number 6 in the tomb, They receive the produce of the harvest for the afterlife. Now, if you look at these offering bearers, these are an upgrade on Yashabtis. So remember, the Yashabti was a little stone object that had magical writing, and when you spoke their name in the underworld, they would come alive and they would work forever. So we first originally saw them in the Old Kingdom. Then in the Middle Kingdom, they became like sets. So you had a beer factory, a bread factory, etc. In the New Kingdom, they're now being painted on the wall with these magical pictures. Because look, what you're looking at are magical pictures. The belief that if you had these pictures, it would happen in the afterlife. So these offering bearers are like an upgraded Yashabti. They've been included in these pictures to work for the deceased for the rest of eternity. If you go to the afterlife, you don't want to be getting up every day, having to do the mundane things like the washing up and the laundry and that sort of thing. If you had a set of magical pictures with offering bearers and workmen, then it relieves that need for it. Also, number 6 in the tomb is the hunting and fishing scenes in the marshlands of the Fayoum. So that's what they loved doing when they were alive, and they want to do that more and more so in the afterlife. So what you're looking at is the desire of life after death. They want to go to the field of reeds, which is eternal, which is in the afterlife, and that's their desire for life after death. So, hope you've enjoyed this short video on the tomb of Nakht and his wife Tawi. If you have, please press the subscribe button, thumbs up, leave any comments at the bottom, and take care, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.